Roll call. Corbin.
Here.
Zupan.
Here.
Bosberg.
Here.
Wicks.
Here.
Dave Jones is absent. Walrod.
Here.
Schwartz.
Here.
Wynn.
Here.
Kennard.
Here.
During. Here. Reuter.
Here.
Cunningham.
Here.
Stokes.
Here.
Stupansky. Becker.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Roberts. Maglioka.
Here.
Du Bois. Here. 1,462 votes present.
Approval of minutes from our previous meeting. Motion. Motion by Mr. Walrod, second by Ms. Kavanaugh. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. Yes, wait 1 second. So everybody that signed up on the sheet, there's 2 public hearings. So the first public hearing, Emily will read, the clerk will read the rules, and we will do 1 hour for each public hearing. So assume that everybody that signed up is signed up for the first public hearing, amending local law number 3. Is there anybody that wants to speak on the other public hearing? We'll get another sheet back there.
What is the second one?
You can't.
That's signing contract?
The first one's on the local law amending local law 3 for the year 2004. The second one is on the proposed award. So anybody that wants to speak on the second one, which will be from 7 to 8, needs to sign on the other sheet. So we can get another sheet back there. Is there anybody that wants to speak on the second one, or everybody wants to speak on the first public hearing? Go
Yeah.
down by name.
Yeah, just say ask
Yeah.
the first person.
Okay, Marcia?
Yes.
Yes.
I think she wants. to
First
do
one?
Well, is the first one about flow control, basically?
The first public hearing is going to be amending local law number 3 for the year 2004 by repealing section 3(4)(c).
What is that local law?
It's flow control.
It's not a county waste.
Out of county
County
way.
waste, flow control.
Flow control?
Yeah.
Okay. And the second one is whether or not to sign a contract with Casella?
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
I think that's where everybody wants to speak.
Everybody good with that?
So I do have a question about the first one. If you amend the flow control, whether or not you sign with Casella, that means that the county could bring in garbage from the outside. Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Is there any way you can determine the volume for people are saying they can't hear back there?
You under my desk?
John, is it possible that if Marcia's correct and most of the people want to speak to the second resolution, perhaps we could switch the order so most people could speak? And then there's a bunch of people outside that are not obviously able to get in the room because of the number of people.
Right, the clerk's gonna ask, once you make your comments, to make your way out in the hall to allow other folks to come in and ask questions.
Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, are we going to be able to ask questions? Have an opportunity to ask questions?
you will. This is a public comment
Okay.
period.
Okay.
So, okay, go ahead.
Can I read
Emily.
this?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. We are here this evening to hold a public hearing as the next step of the process that began 2 years ago. In 2021, this Madison County Board of Supervisors hired Cornerstone Engineering to perform a study of the long-term sustainability of the Madison County landfill operations. Their final report was released in February of 2023 that stated the current waste disposal fees are not sufficiently covering the costs of operations, capital expenses, and long-term management of the landfill. The board evaluated several alternatives to improve the long-term viability of the landfill operations, those of which being remain at status quo, close the landfill, a public-private partnership, an intermunicipal agreement, or Madison County itself increases volume of waste coming into the landfill. After evaluating each of the alternatives, the board proceeded to gather more information in regard to a public-private partnership and what it would entail. As pursuant with General Municipal Law 120W, a draft request for proposal went out on May 24th, 2023, and the final request for proposal went out on August 23, 2023. This proposal requested for all interested parties to outline their intent for the long-term sustainability and financial viability of the existing Madison County landfill. Tonight, we're here to listen to comments from the public in regards to amending local law number 3 for the year 2004 by repealing section 3(4)C, and also the proposed award of operations, maintenance, and lease agreement to New England Waste Services of New York. Please make sure you have signed up on the list in the hallway if you would like to speak with your name and your address. Each person will be allowed 2 minutes to speak on the aforementioned topics. And please note, this is not a question and answer session. The board is here to listen to all of your comments. As Chairman Becker said, each public hearing will be allowed 1 hour each. Thank you.
Okay. I need a motion to open the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Reuter, seconded by Mr. Vosberg. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, this is the 6 PM public hearing, a local law amending local law number 3 for the year 2004 by repealing section 3(4)C, which is flow control. We have Marcia Rafty, Daniels Drive, Wampsville. Okay, we'll put you down for the second one. Doug Holdridge, Watson Road. Second one. Okay, Mr. Zecca. Okay. He signed up. 7285 Willow Acres, Mr. or Mrs. Arison? Yes, sir. You're the question guy.
Any questions that you have can be addressed by calling the board office tomorrow, 366-2201. This is for a public hearing only. This is that we're following the rules of the public hearing. You're welcome.
Wait, Mark.
Yeah.
He can ask a question in his comments. There's nothing to prohibit that. What?
The public hearing is for comments only. That's
Well,
just,
your
that's the,
comments
that's
can
that's
be-
from
you
our,
can
that's
ask
from our
a
council.
question,
He can-
This is
You
a
can have
question.
No,
and
no, you're not
Right.
gonna answer him.
Right.
Right.
But he
Yes,
can-
you can ask, you can ask.
Can ask a question.
Okay.
Sorry,
okay.
just to
Yes.
clarify.
Let's
Yeah.
not get off the rails already here. So, all right. You can ask a question, sir. You gotta come up to the mic.
See on one.
No, he is, your questions is on number 1 on flow control?
Well, I consider it flow control. So with all this going on, apparently this has been going on for about 2 years. How was it probably about 80% of Madison County wasn't even aware of this? I just learned of this a week ago, number one. And what is the traffic flow gonna be for this process? Cause I live right on Route 5 along with a lot of other people. Where's this, all this trucking gonna be routed?
Okay, we're noting your question, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
And so with that being said, if I don't get a response, is Madison County gonna pay me my house value with all these trash trucks going by? As well as everybody else's? Are we good?
We have your questions noted, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Zecca's in the house here. You have an address, Jim? Address. Your address. Are you here to speak on the flow control or the public hearing for the proposed award for operations? Operations, okay. Okay, Debbie Tuttle from 6722 Tuttle Road. Second. Al Miller, 6984 Knowles Ave. Okay, Gail Tamarkio from 6993 Knowles Ave. Okay. Lisa Pacano, 7,000 Knowles Ave. Okay, James Mason, 6997 Knowles Ave. Paul O'Mara, 8574 Route 13. Second topic or first topic, Paul? Okay.
I kind of, I'm Paul O'Mara. I'm a farmer here in, town of Lennox. And then, a farmer here for 45 years, so. It was kind of late notice. I understand you worked on it for 2 years, but for most of the public in Madison County, this is kind of new stuff, so. Probably I've read what I could read on the website. I have whatever information is available, but. And ties to the flow control. If you open up the dump for more trash, that opens a can of worms as far as I'm concerned, because what's the limit? I mean, is bringing in more trash really gonna solve the problem? It just seems to me the more trash you bring in, the bigger the problem's gonna get. But so I know there's a lot of people here that want to talk, and that's my biggest concern. How much trash are you gonna bring in to try to solve the problem? Thank you.
Okay, Steve Durfee, Tuscarora Road. Carmel Eddy from Chapman Road, Canastota.
Second.
Doug Holdridge, Seneca Turnpike, Canastota. Signed up. Okay, Doug Facillo, 6996 Knowles Ave. Mike Pacano, 7,000 Knowles Ave. Okay, Madison Jaquin, 4490 Schultz Road, Oneida. Okay, Chuck Brown, Bouye Road. Patrick House. Okay, Susan E. Coates, maybe, and I have no address. Okay, Pat Boskowitz, 2792 English Ave, Eaton. Okay, Pat Wagner, same address. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that did not answer. So you want to go out and see? Somebody want to go out and see if they're out in the hall?
John, again, I don't, I mean, I feel like we're just, most of the people want to speak on the second proposition. What,
I had 5 people that aren't in here that are on the list. I
I-
don't know if they want to speak for the first topic or second topic.
I know,
The
but
first topic is open right now.
I understand that, but the majority of people want to speak on the second topic. We didn't make it clear to people how it was going to be run. It just seems to be more efficient. Just do the second topic first,
We're
and then
gonna
you
wait
get
till
those
the first
people out.
top- We'll see if those people want to come in and speak to the first topic
Okay.
while we're on topic.
Okay. I hope we'll extend the time though, because it's really not fair. We're just using time up. Calling them all.
Nope, they're just finding out if those folks that signed up want to talk about the first topic or the second topic. Well, that's why Matt went out to see if they're out in the hall.
I know, right?
That's what I'm gonna do. Nobody wants to talk about, it, we'll close the public hearing. What's that? I'll second. Okay. All right, so there was no one out there that wanted to speak on the first topic?
No.
Okay,
I wrote them all down.
all right. So we need a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Zupan, second by Mr. Walrod. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay. The next is the 605 public hearing on the proposed award of operations and maintenance and lease agreement to New England Waste Services. I need a motion to open that public hearing. Motion by Mr. Roberts, second by Ms. Schwartz. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carried. Okay, Marcia Rafty from Daniels Drive.
Minutes, but I'll try. Good evening. I'm Marcia Rafty, and I'm here to talk about my learning curve for one thing, which was steep and painful. And I started out with rumors and hearsay, and it led to a what the heck response. So I did a lot of research, and I came down to 3 concerns, and I'm going to list them now in case I run out of time. First one is time. You have it. I want you to take it, please. You've got until the middle of February to make a decision. And I heard last night from the Casella group that they're not going to walk away if you don't vote tonight. So you have time. You have time to feel confident about your vote, whatever it is. The second one is the expected revenue if you sign the contract. And there's a lot of it and very tempting. But I don't know that you, let me start again. It's tempting and I suspect it'll win out. But if you put it in the general fund, you know what happens to undedicated money. It gets eaten away in a heartbeat and 25 years comes up fast. So please put it in reserve funds. Make a financial plan, a mission statement, talk to the treasurer. Last week, I talked with Mark Scamone and he said to me, we can't put it all in reserve funds, but we can put some. Well, that's kind of vague, but I consider that a win from where we started. So the third thing is unintended consequences. I've had a lot of life experiences and it's left me with a very healthy respect for Murphy's Law. So in just reading the Cornerstone report, the RFP, and I did get
I'm gonna allow
email
you
copy
10
of
seconds more, Marcia. Your 2 minutes
contract
are up.
last night, please remember 1, 2, 3, no matter what you decide, think about that you've got the time, what to do with the revenue and the unintended consequences.
Thank you. Can we
Thank
have those comments for the record? Can we get a
Got 'em
copy?
all right here. You want me to?
And a
want me to
card.
tell you what they are?
No, I'll just want a copy of them for the record.
Sam.
Give me a
Okay,
sec. Yep, thank you.
thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Holdridge from Watson Road. Doug Holdridge from Watson Road.
I speak on behalf of an organized group.
Hold on one
Well,
second.
I-
Hold on one second, Doug. I'll start you over. Now, what do they want to speak on? This, all the second? Okay, all right. Sorry, we'll start you over. Go
Yeah,
ahead, Doug.
I would like to speak to
Yep.
the second resolution.
Yep, go ahead.
I represent a group of people. We don't actually have a name other than concerned citizens with the privatization of the landfill. And I certainly realize, as they do as well, that in a public hearing, you folks are not required to respond. If you do, that would be information that could come to this public. But I implore you on behalf of those people to not rush into this. There are other possibilities. I had a packet put on each of your desks that I would ask you to please look at that as soon as possible and explore those possibilities as options to keep the ownership within the Madison County residents. This valuable space is premium dollars right now, and it will only get more valuable as the other surrounding landfills fill up, which is very close to happening at most of them. There needs to be a place for that solid waste to go, and that's why they're looking at Madison County. We have a very, very valuable commodity that shouldn't be given away freely. Math that's in your packet. And at that point, that is all at this point I'm gonna say, because I know we only have 2 minutes. There's a lot of other people that would like to talk. I would just again ask you to please consider the future generation of Madison County residents. And I implore you to read the documentation that has been supplied to you before you make your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Zecca.
Good evening. It's been a while. Honorable members of Madison County Board of Supervisors, I am Jim Zecca, former Director of Madison County Department of Solid Waste and Sanitation and concerned grandfather. In the past few weeks, I have been contacted by a number of past members of the Madison County Board of Supervisors, Solid Waste Committee members, and other concerned citizens in Madison County regarding the proposed public-private partnership for the operation of the Madison County landfill with Casella Waste Systems. I have already submitted pertinent information to all of you. I thought this would, for your review before making a decision on this very important matter. The recent Cornerstone study summary clearly underlines the irreplaceable value inherent in Madison County's landfill. I'm going to shorten this. Alternative avenues exist for the county to obtain necessary tonnage and funds through direct arrangements with other municipalities or brokers. This approach could effectively financially stabilize operations for the long term. Moreover, reversion to standard operations in the future wouldn't necessitate the drastic reduction of the landfill service life over 100 years to a mere 25 years or less, as proposed in the form of a 25-year contract with Casella Waste Systems. While acknowledging the necessity of using some space for our county landfill, the proposed 25-year contract allowing 75 years worth of space appears to be disproportionate to the county's needs and the value of the resource, as clearly articulated in Cornerstone report and Casella's own proposal. Respectfully, the report unequivocally affirms Madison County's ownership of an exceptionally valuable asset. I therefore urge the board to carefully consider
10
the
seconds, Jim.
implications of any decision that compromises this valuable resource for future generations in Madison County. Thank you, and I wish you well in your decision with making process regarding this very important issue that will affect future generations of Madison County, like my grandson who lives in Oneida.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Okay, Debbie Tuttle from 6722 Tuttle Road.
Hi, I'm Debbie Tuttle and I live on Tuttle Road. I'm surrounded on three sides by the county, but it wasn't always that way. My family owned the land before it was sold to a family friend and they in turn sold it to the county. So I live with the landfill operations every day. I try to be a good neighbor, but I'm very emotionally attached to the land. I've hunted, fished, picked berries. My sister died in the field next to my home. My parents' ashes are scattered in the front yard. My father taught us to be respectful to the land and to take care of it. Well, I walk in those woods still, and there's plastic bags strewn everywhere. There's big gullies on the landfill side that I know stuff must be leaching into the creek. I just want you to take your time to really think about what's going to happen and how it's going to impact all of the residents. Because as it is, the smell is bad. They say call. Well, I'd be calling every day, twice a day, and nothing ever happens. The smell is still there. The noise, they're hauling dirt right next to my house, probably from here to Mr. Becker away. The noise is unbearable. The dust is, we can't be outside. It kills my plants. Can't hang laundry out. I just want you to take your time and make a decision that's best for the county. I realize the landfill is going to be there. And I made my mind up that, I have to live with it. But it doesn't need to get worse. The situation doesn't need to grow bigger than it is already. So just please take your time and, make a decision, be transparent to the citizens of the county and keep us well informed.
Thank you. Okay, Al Miller from 6984 Knowles Ave.
I just simply want to restate what everybody's saying. Slow down on this process. Give us time to understand it. Maybe there's some of you folks that might not be part of this after the first of the year. And the people after the first of the year are going to have to live with this. So let's let those folks be part of that process too. And give us all these folks in here, and it must be times many, many more. They want to understand what's going on here and be part of the decision, be part of what's going to happen. So very simple. Again, please, let's postpone this for a while. And I'm going to defer to Doug so he can have some extra things.
No, we don't do that. Use your time, sir. If we were in Congress, we'd be totally dysfunctional. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Gail Tamarkio from 6993 Knowles Ave.
Good evening. I had a lot of questions to ask, but if they're not going to be answered, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be with Al and my neighbors saying how we were all blindsided by this. You've been working on this for 2 years and we are all unaware. I didn't even know what a cell was until last night's meeting. So we all want this vote not to happen tonight. We want to be able to sit down with people and go over what you have been doing for 2 years in our backyard. I mean, we are the taxpayers. We need to understand what's going on. Maybe it'll end up being Kinsella. Maybe we'll end up bringing in garbage. We don't know. But we want to be aware of everything that has been done and what's going to go on in the future. We feel it is very unfair that we have been blindsided. The only mailing we ever got was 4 days ago, a little pamphlet about what was going on until we attended the meeting for the town of Lincoln, because we're from the town of Lincoln. So yes, we are asking, pause this, do not vote tonight. Sit down with us people who are the taxpayers and tell us what is going on. Why are we doing this? Who's making money? Why is the garbage disposal or garbage landfill not viable anymore? How did it happen? We need explanations. Maybe you have one. Maybe it's a good one. We don't know that because we are totally unaware of everything that has gone on in the last 2 years. So please just give us, the residents of Madison County, a chance to be involved in this that's going to affect all of us here, especially Debbie Tuttle.
Okay, Gail, hold on. Do you have a list of your questions do you have a list of your questions?
Yeah,
or-
I have a few.
Okay, you want to give them to Sam? Are you collecting the questions?
Sure.
So, yep. Okay, thank you. Okay, Lisa Pacino from 7,000 Knowles Ave. Lisa?
I'm really gonna repeat most of what Gail just said. Last night, we learned at the meeting that supposedly there was some mailing sent out like 6 months ago and information on a website about if we wanted to attend a meeting. We, in our development in the town of Lincoln, never received any mailings. Some of us got a flyer 4 days ago that talked about this whole project and this meeting tonight. Few of my neighbors, including myself, we didn't even get that. We took, some people took pictures. I think we were all blindsided that if this has been going on and it's going to affect everybody in Madison County and the people that live in the town of Lincoln, because it's close to us, why were we not given information along the way? We're the taxpayers, we're the people that it's going to affect. If you have this information, why not have meetings with the taxpayers, with the people that are gonna have to live with 500 times more, garbage in the landfill than we already have now? And talk about the options. We were told that there was 3 or 4 options other than Casella's taking over the contract, the lease. What are those options? Why were they not told to us? Why weren't they, financially, what's better about this one or not that one? And let the people have some say in it and possibly vote as to which they would prefer you to vote on. What's the best choice? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, James Mason from 6997 Knowles Ave North.
How we doing? I got one question. Why can't we just put it up for a vote? That's it.
Thank you. Okay, Steve Durfee from 902 Tuscarora Road.
Well, first off, I guess I would just like to thank the supervisors. I mean, I think you've done a great job keeping our taxes to a bare minimum the last 10 or 15 years. When I first started farming 40 years ago, every year the taxes were going up 10 or 15%. In the last few years, you've done a great job of keeping our taxes at 1 or 2%. So I really do appreciate that. So I came into this horse race a little late. So I guess what my questions, what is the current and projected deficit for the landfill for the next 10 years? Again, I don't mean to question your judgment, but has the board looked at other ways? I mean, if you raise the tipping fee by $10 a ton, it will still keep the rates within what other landfills take. And at $10, if I'm correct, at 60,000 tons, that's over $500,000. And again, I'm not in the day-to-day operations of the landfill, but a few years ago I thought there was a very big surplus. Plus there was COVID money. So I'm just wondering if, and again, I don't mean to insult anybody, if there's just been poor management there and a lot could be straightened by just having some better management. And also Casella, I mean, as we all know, I think they're facing some pretty hard, heavy fines. I'm sure the board is looking at, you know, if they go bankrupt, that they have a bond, so this still can get closed properly and it won't fall back onto the county. And I'm just wondering, and again, I'm not an expert on bonds, but a lot of times bonds disappear over the years. So is the board requiring a cash bond? So 10 years from now, if this falls back onto the county, it won't come back to the
Got
taxpayers.
10 seconds, Steve.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, Carmel Eddy from 5981 Chapman Road.
Basically, what I have to say is that everyone here has said just about everything I feel. And I would like the county to be more transparent. There just seems to be, we're caught off guard. And it's not fair that the people who pay the taxes are caught off guard. Basically, that's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Doug Holdridge, 3516 Seneca Turnpike. Okay. Okay, let him come in and ask this question.
He's passed.
Okay. Okay, Doug Fasillo from 6996 Knowles Ave.
Good evening, everybody. I sat at a meeting last night in the town of Lincoln, listened to the sellers people, and they're very intelligent, very good operators. But I watched the room, and the biggest thing, and you've heard it time and time again here, the people of town of Lincoln, the people in Madison County, 'cause I spoke to people from Brookfield today, from Lennox today, they had no idea that they knew there was something going on in Landfill. They had no idea you were gonna increase the volume, that it was gonna be filled in 25 years. They don't know the cost. They don't know there's gonna income coming in. They know absolutely nothing about the nuts and bolts of this operation. All I'm asking you to do, like everybody else has asked you to do, just be a little more transparent, not transparent, just educate us. We need to be educated on what the procedure is gonna be. Why Casella is the best choice, what makes them the best choice, what makes them better than the other three options, or an option just keeping it in-house and doing it internally. You folks have been looking at this for 3 years, 2 years, you know the shortfalls of the current operation. Casella might be the answer, I'm not saying they're not, but I think everybody here, the only thing we're asking is that we get as educated as you folks are and why you made your decision. And once we're comfortable with that, I'm sure that we'll live with it one way or another. But just take a little more time, just educate us. We're just asking to be educated. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Mike Pacino, 7000 Knowles Ave.
Thank you. I just have a few things to say. First of all, I would like to say that I personally feel remiss in not informing myself of what has been going on. I think this is an incredibly important decision. Not just a decision, but an issue that affects us all. Not being aware of what's going on is partly on us, and I respect what the board has done for the last 2 years. My issue is, I think in this room, there are people who have various expertise that probably could bring a more thorough opinion if further investigation is necessary. I know that this is something that you've all been working for a number of years and we want to move on. There are other businesses that need our attention. But I think this being a hot button topic, is there time to bring the public along so that we can be part of the process, understand the decision, and support the decision that's ultimately made. Again, thank you for your time, and there are people here that I think can really contribute. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, Madison Jaquin from 4490 Schultz Road, Oneida. Shout in the hall. Madison Jaquin.
Hi, my name is Madison Jaquin and I am the village clerk for Wampsville. I was born and raised right here in Madison County, and just recently, like many other people have said, this issue has, came to the surface. I'm in local government and I didn't hear much about it, if anything at all, until just a few weeks ago, which I, with many others, have an issue with. I know you guys did reach out and I get that. We do public hearings, no one shows, I totally understand. But a night of downtown revitalization was all over Facebook, and I think there could have been a much more conceited effort to have the public informed. Now, I read the Cornerstone report and I've read the lack of efficiency and all the steps that were suggested to take being an option one. And as a citizen and with two young children, I cannot sit back and say that I wouldn't want to see that happen. I would like to hear how management can change, how we can do something better with the gas, what we can do with these recyclables, which I completely understand is a real expensive process, but I'd like to see some things change before we jump into something like this. So I'm asking you guys to please hold the vote. Let everyone have some more time to get a better understanding and really know what we're getting ourselves into. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. and Mrs. Brown from Bouye Road. Is it Cheryl, ma'am?
Cheryl.
Okay.
I live on Bouye Road. I've owned the property since 2013. I find it odd that my tax bills find it to me, but I learned about this accidentally last night. That's concerning to me in itself. But I want to address the traffic. I live on Bouye, so I can tell you that multiple trucks go by my house every hour. This deceitful page of landfill capacity says there will be, however, slightly more traffic. 3 to 5 more trucks per hour at the landfill during 7 to 3 is not slightly more traffic. That is 24 to 40 trucks a day. And as a gentleman next to me in the other room pointed out, that's one way. So it's really 48 to 80. Your next statement says that your host community will provide financial resources for the roads to be adequately maintained. They are not adequately maintained now. So that statement needs to be addressed. We need to know what that means, where the money's coming from, and how often these roads are going to be taken care of. Because in front of my house, that many trucks, the road will be a disaster. And the trash trucks are not the only thing to go down that road. We have emergency vehicles go down there, we have Amish going down there, and we have residents going down there. Bike traffic, there's even walkers, believe it or not. And I think this statement is extremely deceitful. You're welcome to come to my house and count the trucks if you'd like. Anyone? Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick House. Sir Patrick House out in the hallway. Mr. House, can I have your address first, please?
7047 Bolivar Road, Chittenango.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. I think a lot of good points have been made here tonight, but I just want to hit right on the heart of this vote should be postponed until there's more adequate time for a question and answer session with the public. Fact is, some of you will not be in your chairs in 11 days. The folks that were elected to replace you should have a vote in this decision. Thank you.
Susan Coates. Susan E. Coates. Is there a Susan Coates out there, Sam? Is there a Susan Coates out there? No. Good, okay. Pat, Boxowitz, 2792 English Ave, Eaton.
Valiant effort at that name. Pat Borowit.
Sorry.
Excuse me. That's okay. I couldn't pronounce it when I first married him. First of all, I just need to say I'm opposed to you voting on this issue tonight. I think it needs a little more research for several reasons. My first one is this company that you're considering handing over our waste management plant to was fined $500,000 last year by the state for mismanagement under DEC regulations. The county involved, Ontario County, shares in paying that expense to the state. Number two, the same company which you are planning to go into partnership with has had a 3.5 acre landslide at that same facility that they manage for Ontario County. We have yet to know, this just happened last month, so we have yet to know why that happened. And I expect you would like to know why it happened before handing over our management to that same, same company. Finally, we can now sustain the garbage of our own county for 100 years. If this management is turned over to Casella, it will be filled in 25 years, and a new solution must be arrived at, of course, with additional expense. That expense will, of course, be absorbed by the residents of Madison County, along with any fines Casella may accrue in our county, as well as any possible landslides that may be created. There's no rush whatsoever to find a solution to the financial problems of this county's waste management. Additional fees can be charged to residents, the same number of people employed, and the waste stations that exist now all could remain in place with the increase of those fees
10
without
seconds, Pat.
hazardous risks that this current board is contemplating taking on for us. Please postpone this vote until you arrive at a better solution than you have now.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Pat. Thank you. Tricia Wagner from 2792 English Ave, Eaton.
Hi, my name's Patricia Wagner. I'm from Eaton. I'm a fairly new resident in Madison County, but the beauty of this county is one of the main reasons why I moved here. Transparency and public access to all available information should be at a minimum as a taxpayer, what we should be able to expect. If anything is worthy of a referendum on a ballot, this very important decision would be exactly that. We deserve a say in the decision that will impact generations to come. My questions are numerous, but one big one that I have is, have environmental impact studies been done? Perhaps they have. We don't know because we're only just hearing about this within the last few weeks. My husband and I ourselves only learned about it when my husband went to the dump 3 days ago and handed a pamphlet. That's the first that we heard of it. There are alternatives to always turning operations over to a private for-profit entity. The new members of the incoming board must have input into this decision to determine if all options have been sufficiently explored. They will be the ones who will have to execute and implement these decisions. So just to reiterate what so many others have said, slow your roll. There's time. I think you need more input from a lot of different sources. Most importantly, the citizens of Madison County who are directly impacted by this currently and for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. David Purrier from New Road, Canastota. David out in the hall. Sam out there? They did? Okay. No. Yeah. That's not gonna help. No. Okay, Aaron Leclerc, 3158 Clock Road.
Good evening. Aaron Leclerc, Lincoln resident, also Lincoln Fire District. We had one brief encounter with the landfill committee. I'm asking at this time that you slow it down so we can have talks. We really weren't included. Lots of things are going to change. You're talking about traffic patterns, flows. Our residents should gain more than what that little pamphlet is showing that they're going to get. And I've been unable to have real dialogue with our supervisor because of things that were not to be talked about or whatever. I think we need to slow it down and we need to have some open, frank conversation as to what works for the county and what the benefits are to the residents of the town of Lincoln, because at the end of the day, they have to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Curtis, 4071 Erieville. Robert Curtis out there. Robert Curtis, 4071 Erieville. You're the guy that's up to bat.
Got a few comments to make. I recently went to the landfill today and did some homework on the commercial haulers fees. And as a taxpayer, the commercial hauling fees are about 115 per ton average. But as a taxpayer, right now I'm presently paying $5 a bag. Isn't a lot of money, but if you weigh that bag, the bag weighs 20 pounds. 20 pounds goes into a ton, approximately 100 tons. I'm paying as a taxpayer $500 a ton. for my waste as we speak. And my question to you guys is, what private business would buy into another business if they're in the red? If I was gonna buy a restaurant and this restaurant's been in the red for 5 years, why would I buy it? Where's the return? Where's the investment? Logically, if I'm a financial guru, there isn't. And second of all, where are these employees going? Are they gonna be displaced? Are they gonna put back in the county? If they're put back in the county, because I was under the assumption today that they were subsidized by the landfill corporation by itself. Well, if they're going into the county, where's that money coming from? It's coming from all of us here, all the taxpayers and our kids in the future. So that's another thing you need to ask yourself. We're putting all this financial burden. If we take these employees out of the service into the county service, we're not really gaining anything. I don't know how many employees you have up there. They do a good job. I've been happy with what they do, but the recycling end of it is a no-win situation. I called North Carolina, I called Virginia, and I called the company in Buffalo. There is no market for plastic. Naturally.
10 seconds,
There's
Robert.
none in North Carolina whatsoever. They don't even recycle. All the glass, all the plastic goes into the. So what's the purpose of recycling? Makes you feel good, I guess. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Elise Walrath from 7113 Scenic Ave.
Hello, I just wanted to comment, quick brief you, and make an appearance. I'm basically here because I'm concerned for my kids. I moved here because I loved the ruralness of the area, and I think you're destroying it. By doing this, you're bringing in garbage that we are not making. You are bringing in traffic that doesn't need to be happening. And now we're talking, the dump's only gonna last 25 years. Where does that put our kids? What are they gonna do? That's a huge problem to me. And I just wanted to put that out there. And I think you should look around and look at all these people that came here tonight. This is amazing. And they need to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Joel Arsenal, 10 Kimberly Drive.
Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm sure we all appreciate the board's effort in the service of Madison County. But I got to tell you, I will echo some of the comments. The lack of transparency in this matter is astounding. We're talking multi-million-dollar asset that is owned by the residents of Madison County, and the decision to reduce that asset from 100 years down to 25 years with a payment of 27 million or whatever it is just economically seems ridiculous. It just doesn't seem to make sense. This system was functioning pretty well. Jim Zecca was here. Noted by the state of New York as being one of the premier landfills 10 years ago, doing the best job operation, recycling, cogen, so on and so forth. I'm not sure that Madison County is not capable of finding good management to operate this system, keep the life of it out to 75 or 100 years rather than 25 years, and provide good services at a reasonable price for Madison County. I just don't know that I appreciate having a third party bringing in 4 times the amount of flow that is currently there from outside of the county after these residents have paid for this structure. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. John A. Patney, 6782 Nelson Road.
I would just like to reiterate some of the concerns. And I think the biggest one is, what is the big rush? Again, I think as citizens, we have not had an adequate opportunity to assess the situation, to have the chance to make some input as to what we feel is best for us as the citizens and the taxpayers. And again, what is the rush? And I think maybe some real concerns should be as to whether or not it should go to a public referendum. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Levine, 5296 Bouye Road. No, okay. All right, Rebecca, McKelney, also from 5296 Bouye Road. MCELHENY. Yes, come on up. You're gonna pass? Okay, thank you. Larry Manser from 4336 Timmerman Road. MANSER. Okay, Gene Stankovitz, 1876 Tag Road.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of everyone else here, we've kind of heard what everyone else had to say. You know, the way I think about it is we've got 30,000 homes in Madison County. You know, for what everyone else in here spends a week in coffee, you know, we could make up that little bit of money. We certainly don't want New York City's trash here amongst their politics, so this is what we want to take care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Maxwell from 7050 Old County Road. Down the hall. Mark Maxwell, 7050 Old County Road.
Good evening, folks. Just like to make a couple comments. As everybody said, we need to slow this down. There's one indicator word that's been thrown out publicly, and that's fast track. When we push things too hard, it falls off the tracks. Let's make sure we're headed in the right direction. Let's make sure we do the logical thing. Let's make sure that we do a monetary thing that not only benefits us today, but 50 years from now, 100 years from now. And as you vote on this tonight, tomorrow, whenever, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think of your kids, your grandkids, whomever. And I want you to think that you're in your backyard and your children are saying, why does it smell so bad, Dad? That's their kingdom. When you introduce it into their kingdom, we all come out. This is wrong. Some of you well know that. Slow down. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the data and let's look at why this occurred. First thing that should have been done. Why are we here? How'd this happen? We haven't heard that yet. All we've heard is it's over, folks. We can't do it anymore.
Let's take the time. Let's be diligent. Think of everything that matters here. And as it was stated, this is for our children and our grandchildren. It's closed in 25 years. It does none of them any good. It's gonna cost us one way or another. So I've always been the type, if I gotta pay the piper today, I'll pay it. I'll pay my fair share. We need to think about this. This is not a good deal. And some of you well know that. Please, slow down. Take your time. There's no rush here. As the Grinch said, this is not a heck of a rush, okay? It's Christmas time. Slow down. Do what's right for everyone. Not just what we have to do today. Money doesn't solve everything.
10 seconds, Mark.
Thank you. Have a good holidays, and please do the right thing on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, that's it for, that's all we have for public comment. So I need a motion to close the public hearing. Motion by Mr. Zupan, second. Second by Mr. Roberts. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 1 is authorizing the adoption of a negative declaration pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act. This is Jim Cunningham, Chairman, Solid Waste Recycling Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I do not induce these resolutions per Rule 6A subsection 4E, which states, review of all committees' proposed resolutions within this jurisdiction before the same are introduced before the Board of Supervisors unless practicable to do so. Amy Miller canceled the December 12th Solid Waste Committee meeting, whereas Amy Miller does not have that authority. I do not move these resolutions forward.
I'll second.
Huh? Yeah, somebody else can move them. If he's not moving them, somebody else can move them. So there's no motion in second. So does anybody else want to move these resolutions? It's open session. Okay, Mr. Zupan's made the motion to move them. Is there a second for Mr. Zupan? No? Okay. Dies for lack of second. Okay, go on to the next.
Resolution number 2 is adopting local law number 8 for the year 2023. Jim Cunningham, Chairman, Solid Waste Recycling Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I do not introduce these resolutions per Rule 6A subsection 4E, which states, review of all committee proposed resolutions within its jurisdiction before the same are introduced before the Board of Supervisors unless impractical to do so. Amy Miller canceled the December 12th Solid Waste Committee meeting whereas Amy Miller does not have that authority.
Okay. Does anybody want to make that motion? Okay. Huh? I don't think you got it quite kicked in. Okay. Dies for lack of a sponsor.
Resolution number 3 is authorizing award of operations, management, and lease agreement to New England Solid Waste Services of New York Incorporated. Jim Cunningham, Solid Waste Recycling Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I do not introduce these resolutions per Rule 6A subsection 4E, which states review of all committee proposed resolutions within its jurisdiction before the same are introduced before the Board of Supervisors unless impractical to do so. Amy Miller canceled the December 12th Solid Waste Committee meeting, whereas Amy Miller does not have that authority. I do.
Okay. Your sponsor? No? Okay. Does anybody want to go into executive session?
I'd like to introduce a resolution before we do.
Okay, go ahead. You have them to hand out, Kristen? Kristen, will you help them hand them out?
It's right on your mouth.
Okay, you have the resolution. Is there a second for the resolution? Second by Ms. Schwartz. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please. Yes, Mr. Walrod.
Sorry. Obviously, this is having the resolution put in front of us at this time is something that we heard about from some other supervisors quite recently about the lack of ability to read through it and discuss it. So as far as voting on it right now, I really don't think that's proper, even though it may be in the rules. But as far as waiving the rules for resolutions, that is a provision that has been in. And in the past, that has been a positive that allowed supervisors to bring up a resolution individually that otherwise they wouldn't have. And in the past 10 years, I've seen smaller towns and people with interests that may not have been represented completely by committees that had the opportunity to bring that resolution forward in a positive manner. So I think there's two sides to this to consider. And I would like us to really, consider tabling this resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to comment, please.
I got a motion to table. Is there a second on the table? Okay, it's tabled. So it's tabled.
Can I still comment?
You can comment, yeah.
Just in response to what you've said, Pete, I think we're well through the year. And I think it's appropriate to rescind waiving the rules so that meetings and resolutions cannot be brought forward in such short notice, especially in light of what we've heard tonight. My purpose of this was, as Jim said, those need to go back to the committee. Jim, myself, Evan, the three most senior members of Solid Waste Committee were not invited to the negotiations. We were cut out of that. We did not receive the contracts until Sunday evening, so that gives us 2 business days to review it ahead of this meeting. And I think that this resolution was appropriate to take those back to the committee where they belong. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, just, I think that, I understand what you're saying, TJ. I think that, I think some of us here were quite prepared to table the resolution if it had been brought forward. So we do have an opportunity to slow down the process that we've heard so much of tonight, without rescinding a resolution that has other proponents and other benefits. So the ability to table a resolution could have been taken, that opportunity could have been utilized tonight. But I think this has larger ramifications than something that could have been utilized by a different manner. That's all.
Okay. There should be no more discussion because it's been tabled and that should be it. But I want to make a motion to go in executive session. There will be no action when we come out. I want to make that clear to the audience. There will be no action, but I'd like to go into executive session. So I'm making that motion. Second by Mr. Wicks.
For what purpose?
Advice of counsel, for advice of counsel. TJ.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? So all in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Carried.